I'm Alicia Hyatt, editor of Mining Markets Magazine, and I'm here at the Toronto Resource Investment Conference with Eric Coffin of HRA Advisories. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you, Alicia.
There was some optimism earlier in the summer that we may have seen a bottom in the juniors in June, but I'm not seeing a lot of optimism here today. What are your thoughts on the health of the juniors?
I think we probably saw a bottom in June. I think I guess the current obsession du jour, if you want, is the Fed taper. And certainly a lot of traders that I've talked to, I think most of them think we saw a bottom in June, but because they're not comfortable, they know what the impact of the taper is going to be. And most of them I don't think most are even second guessing and saying, oh, it's going to be horrible, gold's going to go down $500. They're just saying, I don't know what that's going to be, and I want to be on the other side of that event. So I think that's held back financing a little bit, although I have seen more financings close in the last month. But I think we need to get past that, and whatever impact it's going to have. I think the taper is going to happen. I think the impact from where we are now probably won't actually be that large. I think a lot of it's priced in. But I think we get on the other side of that, we'll see a bit more optimism. But nobody should have any illusions. It's going to be very, very selective. That's just how it's going to be.
So in this environment, I'm assuming you're focusing more than ever on quality of management and quality of projects.
Yeah, I'm looking for, my thesis, if you will, and I think I want to make sure everybody understands this is not a low-risk strategy, but then resource companies are not a low-risk strategy. I'm looking for companies that, I'll probably add a few that have very good growth potential in terms of production, like small companies where production growth will actually really matter in terms of the share price and the bottom line. But a lot of what I've been looking at in the last year has been discovery stories, companies that I think have the projects and the management to actually make a discovery. Because the biggest advantage to a discovery is it's not really that price dependent, it's not that price sensitive. You can have a lousy gold price, a lousy silver price, and not particularly great equity markets. But if somebody makes a discovery and the market believes that discovery is going to grow rapidly as they explore it, that company can generate big share price gains regardless of what the commodities are doing short term. I've tried to focus on companies that generally either had someone paying the bills for them. I'm not a big joint venture model guy. Most of the companies I'm following are ones that themselves have really good cash resources, so they don't need to go to market to do this. They already have the money they need. And I find if they do find something interesting, that tends to give them a lot more leverage, because when the market's bad like this, even when somebody pulls a few good holes, if the brokers know they have to turn around and finance the next day, there tends to be a lot of pressure on the stock. If the market knows and the brokers know the guy that just drilled a bunch of good holes has absolutely no need whatsoever to raise money in the short term, the only way to get at the stock is to go to the market and buy it like everybody else.
One of the companies that you've been following for a while is Colorado Resources, and they provided some excitement to the market a few months ago.
In both directions, yes.
And they've come down quite a bit. So are they still worth following at this point?
I think, yeah, in a weird sense, Colorado is one of those companies I like because I like the targets and I like the fact they had a lot of cash. And I think that allowed them to have a pretty big, quite a large jump, let's be honest. It went up 1,000% off the first drill hole. And it was a very impressive drill hole. In a sense, it was almost a curse because, of course, the market expects them to live up to that. The last couple of sets of holes they put out, well, they were decent. Their grades are much the same as Red Chris, which is being put into production 15 kilometers away. I think it's still worth following for a couple of reasons. One, the market's punished them so much that their net market cap, if you will, their enterprise value right now is about 10, 12 million. To me, that doesn't sound like a lot for what is really a successful drill program. There's certainly room in that target for them to find something of equivalent scale to Red Chris. There's still lots of room left. They've got Goldfields drilling on their project in the Yukon, which I like quite a bit. No one cared about the Yukon, but it's not them spending the money. And they do actually have a lot of other good targets. A very strong technical group. It's a great set of geologists running that company. So, I certainly wouldn't be afraid of it at this price.
And do you want to give us one more stock pick?
I'll give you a couple of quick ones that I like, and I'm trying to think of ones that are basically drilling right now, so the time frame is theoretically short. One of them is one that I picked because I like their projects, but I really like their bank account, and that's Mondoro. Right now, I think their market cap right now is about 14, maybe 13, which is basically what their bank account is. So you're paying no premium whatsoever for the projects. They're doing some deep drilling in Serbia. They're next door to the sort of next door to the Reservoir Freeport discovery. Reservoir is another company I follow. And again, I don't want anybody to misunderstand that these are like high probability holes. 700-meter drill holes are never high probability holes. But you're not paying anything for this exploration. Plus, they actually made just a trenching at this point, but they made a pretty interesting discovery in one of their other licenses in that same area. Ironically, there was a bit of selling because I think there's a lot of people waiting for these deep drill holes, and when they saw news from Serbia that wasn't that, they kind of went, oh, well, they must have missed on those. This is a completely separate program being done.